So, UberPool is coming back. Is this a good idea? And also, it seems like they're doing it a little bit different. As you can see right here, Uber prices are still way up, right? As we all know, Uber and Lyft prices are still up. So the company is bringing back carpooling. Going down here, Uber is preparing to relaunch its carpooling service as a way to combat price increases, officials said in a call with investors. UberPool was shuttered in March 2020, of course, because of the pandemic. Going down here, though, we are launching a Uber shared pool product. It's interesting how they word that. We have been investing for years in a high-capacity product, which is looking more and more attractive as it relates to a unit economic basis, where that can bring the price significantly lower. Uber prices are up 20% compared to last year, right, because of everything going on. And going down here, this is what's kind of interesting is, of course, nobody liked UberPool when it comes to driving. I'll talk about that a little bit later in this video. But going down here, this is what's really interesting to me. When UberPool comes back, it may look different than the pre-pandemic version. I don't even know how to pronounce that last name, but they said, they hinted that it could be more like an employee shuttle service using Uber's matching technology that the company can sell to its corporate client. A spokesperson called the employee shuttle a separate effort from the carpooling service, but declined to share more details. Now, let me know what you think in the comments about this, because obviously no driver likes UberPool, especially like they briefly mentioned in the article, the algorithm can be kind of weird. You pick somebody up, then you pick another person up. But then the second person who get picked up gets dropped off first, and then this person's like, hey, why are you dropping them off first? Like, I got in the car earlier, and you're like, sorry, this is what the algorithm told me to do. I'm just following what Uber tells me to do, and somehow it's your fault, right? UberPool is super annoying. I will say that, over time, somewhat people have kind of understood more that, hey, if you get into an UberPool, you're kind of sacrificing time and also privacy. I guess I'll say that because you're with other people, for it being cheaper, for it being a better economical option. But I've heard so many stories, and I know so many drivers this has happened to, myself included. You're driving people, someone's like, you know what, I'll take UberPool, it's cheaper. And then they're like, hey, how much longer is it going to be because I'm late for work? Or, hey, I'm going to catch a flight soon. I'm kind of running late. And it's like, well, you chose UberPool. You know what you signed up for. You want to save money. It's not my fault. It's not the driver's fault. Now, when it comes to this, especially when you bring up, of course, the pandemic, I feel like you can't really talk about Uber or Lyft, especially when it comes to UberPool and Lyft Line. Who knows if Lyft's going to follow suit, if this is going to be something that's going to be good or bad for the pandemic. Let's be honest, I think the worst thing for COVID and the pandemic is having more people in a vehicle, especially those who don't know each other. But then also, too, and you could argue this, till the cows come home. I think that's the expression. Is what's the difference between a bunch of random people sitting in a Lyft or Uber and, say, a bunch of people at a sports event, right? Or, say, at a bar, I guess even more realistic, And so it's tough to say, right? It's tough to say exactly. And I think when it comes down to this, if you look at the way UberPool is going to be structured, there's definitely going to be a lot of things into place. One, of course, masks will still be required. You cannot have someone sitting in the front seat in terms of Lyft and Uber. That may change maybe in 2022, but at least in the time of this video and probably the foreseeable future, the max amount of people that can exist in a Lyft and Uber is 3 people. Right, so if you're looking at an UberPool, back in the day, in case you didn't know, you could have 2 unique things happen. One is you could have 1 or 2 people in an UberPool. You would say to Uber or Lyft, it doesn't matter, hey, it's just me or it's me plus a friend. That way you could have 2 different pools happening at the same time. 2 people and 2 people. But you could also, in the second case, which to me was just so chaotic, you could have 3 pools overlapping and existing at the same time. Meaning you could have someone in the front seat, someone in, say, the left back seat, the right back seat. You have 3 different pools, 3 different people, or 3 different parties who don't know each other existing in the same pool. I don't think they'll do that. I think in the beginning, my guess is they'll probably say, look, we're going to kind of tiptoe our way into this. We're going to release UberPool. It's coming back. Whether we like it or not, it's coming back. We're going to release UberPool and make it a thing again. However, the first rule is there can only be 2 pools at the same time. That way, You have two different parties that don't know each other. The second thing I think that they're probably going to do, is my guess, is it can only be for one person. You cannot do UberPool with a friend. You can't do me and somebody else UberPooling. You have to do it just by yourself. That way, if you think about it, if a pool does happen or does exist, you have maximum 3 people in the car. The driver, somebody, like I said, potentially in, like, say, the back left seat, back right seat, that's the max. That way, at least you're slowly kind of getting people maybe more used to being in UberPool. You know, and I will say this, I remember taking UberPools, you know, way before the pandemic, and there's something fun about it. I don't know what it is, but there was something fun and exciting, not even in terms of the saving money part, but being in a car with somebody else who you don't know and you get to know each other. And this is true, actually. One of my good girlfriends is now actually marrying a guy she met in an UberPool, which I feel like, as a side note, Uber should sponsor that wedding because that's epic. But anyway, jumping back to this, you know, I think there was something exciting about it. However, though, when you involve the pandemic and people being worried about their health and safety, that could be a thing too. Also, Lyft and Uber doesn't require you to be vaccinated to be in that Lyft and Uber. LA right now is now actually rolling out a rule. I think it's now in effect, or maybe on the 8th, I believe, I'm trying to remember, where you actually now have to be vaccinated to go to pretty much almost any venue. I got vaccinated yesterday when I went to a Starbucks. The gym I go to is now actually requiring vaccination proof. Could it be that, one, Lyft and Uber starts doing that? Could they say, hey, upload your vaccination proof to the app before ordering Lyft and Uber? And you getting even more specific for this video, could it be that maybe for UberPool, because the health, safety, and risks are a little bit higher, right? Maybe you have to be vaccinated. Maybe you have to have vaccination proof in order to take a UberPool. And if you don't want to provide vaccination proof, or if you're not vaccinated, you can only take a regular Uber. Again, I'm just throwing out different ideas of what they might do. I honestly have no idea. We'll see what happens. We'll see if, let's say, it's a new thing. And like I mentioned as well when it comes to that article, them talking about different employee services, I don't know if maybe that's for, let's say, people getting to work. Maybe you can type in, like, hey, I'm going to work at this firm, and you have a list of people who are also working at that firm. Maybe they'll pick people up and match them when it comes to the actual business. Like, let's say I take an Uber to work and someone else happens to take an Uber to the same job. Maybe they'll do that kind of matchmaking service. That way, when it comes to reducing the risk, at least, right, and increasing public health and public safety, maybe they'll say, look, you can only take an UberPool if you're both going to the same destination that you've already been to before, or if you both already know each other, or if there's some kind of connection between you two. I honestly, I don't know. At the end of the day, no matter what, UberPool is coming back. Love it or hate it, I don't know. But is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? We'll have to see.